historic crypto bill. Tell us about it. Wow.
And we're joined now by South Carolina Republican Representative William Timmons, a member of the House Financial Services Committee. Representative, thank you so much for being with us tonight. I want to dive into this cryptocurrency thing. Give us some clarity about the Genius Act and why this legislation that helps govern cryptocurrency is so important.
So the future of the global economy is in digital assets. And it's critical that the U.S. is the center of the global economy, as it's always been for the last 100+ years. So there's two pieces of this, stablecoin and market structure. So stablecoin was just signed into law. That's the Genius Act. The next is Clarity, which we just passed out of the House. Both of these bills basically just make sure that the rules of the road are...
Dude, where are my crypto people? Do stablecoins actually matter that much? Is this just like a medium of exchange that you use on, on exchanges as opposed to just straight USD, or like... Are they that important?
The consumer protections, the legal framework are there to allow these businesses to make the U.S. economy their home. The future of the U.S. economy and the global economy is digital assets and innovation and blockchain technology, and we got to make sure that the U.S. is the center of that.
I want to talk about some criticism on the other side. The ranking member of the Financial Service Committee, Maxine Waters, was a staunch critic of this bipartisan legislation. She actually sounded the alarm in an op-ed saying the bill will, quote, open the floodgates to massive fraud and financial ruin for American families. Your response to that?
The ranking member doesn't understand how the internet works. She doesn't understand how digital assets work. She doesn't understand how any of the technology that she's talking about works. She literally just has no idea what she's talking about. But this is the thing. This has been a bipartisan effort. Overwhelmingly, the Genius Act had over 100 Democrats support it. The Clarity Act had more than that. So, I mean, this is not a partisan endeavor. The ranking member is, she's just wrong.
I do want to switch gears to Jeffrey Epstein. The president has suggested there is no, quote, smoking gun.
Did he explain anything? Am I retarded? Did I just not understand? Or I don't even know what the fuck. I don't know. I still don't know what the fuck this bill is. Did I miss it? Or
Waters was a staunch critic of this bipartisan legislation. She actually sounded the alarm in an op-ed saying the bill will, quote, open the flood of this bipartisan legislation. She actually sounded the alarm in an op-ed saying the bill will, quote, open the floodgates to massive fraud and financial ruin for American families. Your response to that?
The ranking member doesn't understand how the internet works. She doesn't understand how digital assets work. She doesn't understand how any of the technology that she's talking about works.
That was it. Okay.
She literally just has no idea what she's talking about. But this is the thing. This has been a bipartisan effort. Overwhelmingly, the Genius Act had, she's just wrong.
Okay.
I do want to switch gears to Jeffrey Epstein. The president has suggested there is no, quote, smoking gun in the Jeffrey Epstein files, but should the DOJ release the complete files as originally promised?
I don't understand this issue. I mean, I was a prosecutor for 5 years. I think that transparency is best. I guess the president and the Department of Justice have said they're going to release the all of the documents relative to the...
I don't know anything about it. The master conservative debate technique. The unbeatable strategy. I don't know. I don't know anything about
the indictment. I just think that the American people deserve to know the truth, and whatever that is, and however that goes is what I think should happen. But
whatever that is and however that goes. Oh, okay. Thank you. Finally, some clarity on the issue. Thank you.
It's relative to the indictment. I just think that the American people deserve to know the truth, and whatever that is, and however that goes is what I think should happen. But I trust the president. I trust the attorney general, and I think this is all going to work itself out.
My
Oh, he has no opinion. He just trusts the president and the AG. Oh, there's a clear conflict of interest. Oh, thank you. Trust the process, our institutions, yes.
question for you. You represent part of South Carolina that includes Greenville and Spartanburg. About 20% of your district, that's more than 1 million people, rely on Medicaid. What have you heard from your constituents about the Medicaid cuts in the budget bill that passed earlier this month? What are they telling you? And then how do you reassure them if they're worried about losing coverage?
You're not going to lose coverage. In fact, it's actually going to make it better than it was before by saving us money on our taxes. No coverage, no eligibility. No, wait. No coverage is changing. Should he mention eligibility changes? Like work requirements? Nah, just say we save money. We're going to save money. And nobody's coverage is going away and less taxes. Come on, you can do it.
So the biggest issue with the Medicaid cuts, as the Democrats phrase it,
Yeah, as the Democrats phrase it, are about work requirements, keeping people from scamming the system.
which is not really true, is that 5.5 million people are going to have to either work 20 hours a week or volunteer 20 hours a week in order to continue to maintain government subsidized health care. So again, this only affects able-bodied adults that have no children. So it's a red herring. It's not real. If you are getting free government health care because you are not making enough money, you need to pull your weight.
True.
And if you can't get a job for 20 hours a week, you can volunteer for 20 hours a week. This isn't that hard. So like 85% of the country agrees that if you are getting free government health care and you are able-bodied and you have no dependents, that you should work 20 hours a week. This is not a big deal. So I don't think that this is a real issue. It's a partisan issue. It's Democrats trying to say whatever the Republicans do is bad, and it's not real.
Well, you just used the term able-bodied people, and I just want to point out some.
Remember what I said before? They'll never break a promise because they're never actually doing anything against any of their promises. They are redefining words to always make the thing they're doing okay, right? I will not kill a single child in this country. And it's like, okay, yesterday you passed the slaughter all 6-year-olds bill. Can you explain that? Sure. So it's actually a fully automated process where knives are driven into their hearts. But actually, this isn't really killing the child at all. This is actually causing a cardio trauma event that reduces blood flow and then deoxygenation. We just don't revive them. It's not really killing in the traditional sense whatsoever. Like we're not blowing anybody up. There's no guns being used or whatever. So it's actually the cessation of life at age 6 for people that are, experiencing, these types of injuries. It's not really at all. Yeah. So actually, and it's like this. It's just redefining every single thing, right? We were told over and over again that Medicare, Medicaid wouldn't be cut. Remember, they freaked out about Medicare and Social Security in front of Biden. And, they booed him and, Biden roasted them over it, rightfully so. And now they are cutting Medicaid to people, but they're not actually cutting it. They're just changing eligibility requirements and they're putting more roadblocks up to getting it. So they're not actually cutting it at all. They're just changing the way that it's given out to people.
Well, you just used the term able-bodied people, and I just want to point out some data that shows that many of the people that you described, about 65%, actually do work. They work low-wage jobs, just not ones that pay or have benefits or health care. I'm curious, or they're either caretaking or taking care of themselves because they are ill. I want you to answer the question, how do you make sure that they don't fall through the cracks here? And I think that's what constituents
all they have to do is they have
know.
to report that they're working. All they have to do is they have to report that they're working. It's very simple. And again, the 5 million people that are not report that they're working. It's very simple. And again, the 5 million people that are not currently reporting that they're working, all they have to do is report that they're working. And if they're not working, they can get a job. And if they're not going to get a job, they can volunteer.
Someone in K-Chat said, are work requirements a good thing or a bad thing? If done to a reasonable degree, I don't see the harm. I probably wouldn't mind that much. I could hear arguments on both sides of it. I probably wouldn't care. But don't tell me you're not going to change don't tell me you're not going to change how it's doled out, or don't tell me you're not going to cut back on it a little bit if you're planning on doing that. Just don't lie about it. That's all I'm saying. Be honest.
But 20 hours a week is a side job for many people. So I'm not asking a lot. But we have $37 trillion in debt. We got a $2 trillion annual deficit. You got to pull your weight if you want to get free healthcare. This isn't hard, and it's 85% of the American people agree that if you're going to get free benefits and you're capable of contributing, you need to contribute.
All right, Congressman Timmons, thank you so much for being with us tonight.
Thank you.
Thank you. Finally.
And we're joined now by South Carolina.
That's how we're going to shore our budget up. Work requirements on 15% of Medicaid people.
Thank you so much. All right, thank you, President Trump. It's a great honor to be here, and it's true that I never expected to work in government at all, and then everything changed after.
Is this guy one of the guys on that fucking retard podcast with Chamath or whatever, or Chamath? I forget his name.
President Trump came on my podcast, and I accepted this job as crypto czar because I thought it was a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to work for a president who really wants to get things done for the American people. And if anything, that's been an understatement. The first 6 months of this administration have been more successful than any administration in American history. What's been done? It's just been incredible. President Trump has worked at tech speed. We're used to working fast in Silicon Valley, but even this is fast for us in Silicon Valley, the speed at which you move, President Trump. It's really incredible. And now today, you have another historic legislative achievement that is a monumental step to fulfilling your promise to making the United States the crypto capital of the world. This Genius Act will unlock American dominance in the crypto industry by creating clear rules of the road. It will update archaic payment rails with a revolutionary new payment system, and it will extend U.S. dollar dominance, like you said, globally, by creating a digital dollar that people all over the world can use. And for every...
Remember, the same group of dick sucks were fucking petrified about the digital dollar, the digitalization. That used to be one of the biggest conspiracy theories. Maybe it was even part of the Great Reset after COVID, where they were like, they're trying to make a digital dollar. I don't even understand how fucking this whole dumbass conspiracy theory worked. Fuck, who pushed this shit? I know I heard it on Tim Pool once. Digital dollar, power, privacy, and financial surveillance.
Here's what's going on in the world.
Was it
right
this?
now.
Did they talk about it here? 899 views. I remember hearing people. I didn't even know what the. I don't even know what the full fucking meme on it was.
Digital dollar in a crypto wallet, there'll be a traditional dollar in a U.S. bank account, which will create trillions of dollars of demand for U.S. Treasuries. So that is the power of this bill, is U.S. dollar dominance. U.S. bank account, which globally, by creating a digital dollar that people all over the world can use. And for every digital dollar in a crypto wallet, there'll be a traditional dollar in a U.S. bank account, which will create trillions of dollars of demand for U.S. Treasuries. So that is the power of this bill, is U.S. dollar dominance.
What does that even mean? I don't fully understand even what. Is it I don't understand. I'm sure there's something. I don't know. It's a conspiracy theory going back to the early 2000s, bro. My friend's grandma used to yell about how people will take the mark of the beast, which will be a chip, and you could only use the chip to buy anything in the end times. Digital currency was seen as a precursor to that based. People can spend the digital dollar, which is leveraged off real USD in people's bank accounts, I think. Okay, but like, why not just spend the digital dollars in your Wells Fargo account? What's the difference? Am I missing something? What? I can go online and I can log into a service that shows me my dollars digitally. Like Wells Fargo? No, not like that. It's like, it's you can transfer it to other people. Okay, like Wells Fargo? No. Like it's a digital dollar, but there's a real dollar for every dollar transferred. It's like, okay, like Wells Fargo? Like what? Like PayPal? Like Venmo? Like Cash App? Like any other, like US bank? Like. The Vanguard is watching a YouTube video on the Live and Learn drama, and it's pretty funny. They are crashing out hard. If they listen, if they want to argue, they can argue. Oh, it's just fucking retarded. Fascinating. He can pardon the son of the woman who helped publish the Ashley Biden diary because she's a MAGA simp, but is now suing media companies for the letter that he wrote LeMayo. What all was in that Biden diary? Ashley Biden's diary. Jesus. Wait, what was even the point of publishing it? I don't even remember about this. Trump pardons executive whose family sought to publicize Ashley Biden's diary, who had been convicted of tax crimes, comes as the president, uses clemency to reward allies, and swipe at perceived enemies. Allegedly, Biden touched her in the shower. When first told of the diary, Miss Fago said she thought it would help Mr. Trump's chances of winning the election if it was made public. Okay, based. Project Veritas. All the stars are here. All the stars are here. $450 to Trump's 2020 campaign. Oh no.
Will be a traditional dollar in a U.S. bank account, which will create trillions of dollars of demand for U.S. Treasuries. So that is the power of this bill, is U.S. dollar dominant.
How does this create more demand for USD than ordinary USD? I'm so confused about how any of this works. I would love to hear. Does David Sachs explain this on any of his podcasts? David Sachs explains stablecoin.
As Bitcoin.
Let me use the restroom 1 second.
Hits those new highs. Investors are still awaiting the stablecoin bill, see whether it will make its way through the Senate. Joining us now to discuss that bill and much more, White House AI and crypto czar David Sachs. David, good to see you again. I actually want to start on AI here because Jensen Huang talking to me earlier this month about these chip curbs, mentioning it again from Computex in Taipei this week. The idea that maybe
Testing, but the thing Tulsi posted, I feel like it does confirm Russian interference, but they're stretching the phrase and make it seem as if it debunks outcome-determinative interference, which I don't think was ever the claim. No, Russian interference 100% happened. That's not debated. Nobody intelligent debates that. The question was whether or not Trump's inner circle had colluded with Russia, and that answer is definitively yes. Nobody debates that. Roger Stone was in direct contact with the hacker that was leaking stuff from the Podesta email leaks. Now, the issue is that Stone refused to, Roger Stone. Did I say Robert or Roger? Roger Stone refused to cooperate with investigators, so he lied, and then he told another witness to lie. He got convicted for lying to Congress, and then convicted on 5 other counts, and I think he said publicly, he's like, I'm not going to tell on Trump. And then when Trump came into office, he pardoned him. So who knows how much further that investigation would have went? Who knows what else they could have discovered? No one knows. Everybody in that motherfucker was lying to the FBI. Flynn lied to the FBI. That dude is fucking insane. One gander at his fucking Twitter account will show you that he's fucking insane. Wait, does he have an account anymore? General Mike Flynn. Let's see what he's tweeting about right now. Attention, here's what is playing out in real time. 1, the deep state plan. 2, the strategy. 3, the target. 4, the counterpunch. All it needed was a blend of courage and commitment to the truth. At Real Donald Trump, thank you for demonstrating both. It took longer than thought, but in the end resulted in massive exposure of the deep state. At Tulsi Gabbard, at DNI Gabbard, it's not the waves in life you catch, it's how you ride them that matters. No wipeouts here. Best wave of the day. Oh, we've got Obama. We've got Hillary Clinton. Goal. Destroy USA. Rise. New world order. Goal, weaken USA globally for Barack Obama. They never thought she would lose. American coup d'etat. And remember what the theory is. Hillary Clinton rigged the election. That's why she got 3 million more votes. They rigged 3 million more votes for Hillary over Trump, but they couldn't rig it in the right swing states to actually let her win the election somehow. You were a target, too. We don't forget. It's funny. This is the first fucking tweet on his Twitter. But yeah, this guy's insane. Also convicted of lying. Also pardoned. Please remove all cable news access to the White House immediately. Let them get true news from alternative media like everyone else. At Real Donald Trump. At OANN. One American News.
Yesterday afternoon, the president is in the East Room of the White House mourning with parents who have lost their children because of fentanyl, signing a bipartisan piece of legislation. And not a single cable network in this country took that event live and covered that event like they should. Those are the issues the president cares about.
Why were we? Wait, what?
Covered that event like they should. Those are the issues the president cares about. What could be more important to the American people than helping families who have lost their children? Those are the issues this president is going to remain focused on.
There you have it. President Trump just signed the Halt Fentanyl Act into law. A major bipartisan move.
Why didn't he sign the Don't Overdose on Drugs law so that people stop overdosing?
The law permanently classifies all fentanyl-related substances as Schedule 1 drugs, giving law enforcement more power to crack down harder.
More power to crack. What the fuck is that? Bruh! What are we doing here? Hello?
On traffickers who flooded our streets with the poison, leading to record deaths. China manufactures the precursors of the poison. Cartels push it through our open border in recent years. That's how we got here. This new law also protects access to legit doctor-prescribed fentanyl. And the message really is, we're done playing defense.
One of the vanguards say they would debate you for $500. No, I'd debate it for free. He doesn't have to pay me for it. Will you do a review of Econo Boy's Substack explaining why he now believes in democratic socialism? No, I'm good. I don't give a fuck. The socialist shit is boring and cringe and stupid and lame. I'm done. I'm good on that. I don't need to. I'd
Yesterday afternoon,
the IQ race realism arc before.
They're not working. It again from Computex in Taipei this week. The idea that maybe they're not working, that we ought to just like compete get China, everybody else into our ecosystem. When America competes, America wins. What's your thinking, the administration's thinking on the usefulness of some of these chip curbs?
Well, John, good to be here. So on the chip curbs or export controls, I think there's strong bipartisan consensus in Washington not to let China have our most advanced semiconductors because there's a potential dual use to the technology. But I think that Jensen's right with respect.
There's a potential dual use to the technology of microprocessors. Isn't there a potential everything use for the technology? That's like saying there's a dual use for steel. Yeah, yes. Yes. What a fucking genius. My God. Thank you for the technocracy. The smartest men on the planet leading this country. Yes.
Because there's a potential dual use to the technology.
What you don't know, true, is they crush the semiconductors into fentanyl. True.
But I think that Jensen's right with respect to the rest of the world. We want the rest of the world using our semiconductors, building on the American tech stack, as opposed to...
Explain that. We need to bring in an engineer. What's the American tech stack? Can you explain that? Like, oh no, China just patched fucking Python and now it's all written in Mandarin. That would suck.
Creating an opportunity for Huawei to come in and create a Huawei Belt and Road. So
Yahweh to come in? Is he Jewish?
I think we need to revise the export controls with respect to rest of the world, but I think we have to keep them for China.
And what do we do about power? Elon Musk was on our air with our David Faber just yesterday talking about what he's trying to build out with quite a few black wells and the challenge of getting enough power to actually make those AI factories happen. What kind of policy?
The AI factories, where they build the AIs. They actually released some footage, I think, of this.
Production.
I think this is in Austin, or is it Dallas?
Attention NS5s.
Is going to really benefit that in a way that's sustainable?
Well, John, I think the president has spelled it out. We need to unleash the American power industry. We need a lot more electricity in the United States. We need to make it easier to permit. We need to drill, baby, drill, as the president said, and we've got to...
God, dude, where are my technocrats? Does anybody get this right? I'm trying to think of, like, 1984, the people that are running shit aren't retards. Was Winston the guy that, no, Winston was the name of the main character, wasn't it? Who was, like, the party member who was always talking to him? I think he was disguised at first as being, like, a friendly collaborator, and then he finds out that he's, like, an enemy. Are there any books that show the deep state or like the secret country, you know, spy apparatus being run by an actual bunch of fucking retards? Was it O'Brien?
Build, baby, build. We got to build these data centers. So I think the Trump administration wants to get all of these regulations out of the way. They want to alleviate the bottlenecks. And I think that's just the direction we just got to keep going in.
Now let's talk stable coins.
Regarding stablecoins, if you're buying crypto, there has to be a pair for it. E.g., if you want to buy Bitcoin, you buy it with a stablecoin, USDT, USDC, or Ethereum, or some other pair. You can often buy Bitcoin with USD regular dollar directly. However, less popular coins might not have a USD pairing, so you swap your USD to USDT or USDC, a stablecoin, and then swap the stablecoin for the specific coin you want. Why would you have to swap the coin? Is there even a mechanism for swapping? Like, is there an actual blockchain mechanism for swapping? Or are you just talking about you send the coin and then when it's confirmed, the other person sends the coin and then they confirm? Dual use, as this guy is using it, refers to the crossover between commercial and military uses, e.g., certain aerospace tech would be considered dual use. Sure, I guess. But I mean, like, the problem with microprocessors and everything extends far beyond just, like, military shit. The whole fucking world, every single fucking thing we use. My fucking... Never mind. Like, I feel like this is important tech that impacts every single part of the world. And I think you could argue that every single part of it is essential. Like, not just the military application, but the commercial application is also probably of national security interest. If somebody could cut off our, access to microprocessors, even if we still had them available for military use, it would be fucking horrible. I'm just saying, it's just a bunch of like empty bullshit, meaningless statements that don't have, it's all just, I don't know how to explain it. It's just hollow nothing statements. Like if you ask me, like, what do you think, Destiny, what do you think crypto's application could be for the future of the United States? Okay. And then I'm David Nutsacks, okay, on CNBC, okay? I think that crypto's application for the future is essential. I think that there is no world where the United States isn't actively engaged in some sort of facilitation of cryptocurrency events that are occurring all over the world and are affecting all of our lives. I think that the future dominance of the United States is going to be determined by our place in the world of crypto and how we both engage in and bolster our ability to manage crypto and to regulate crypto, and for the government to understand and be able to, directly interact with and interface with cryptocurrency in the way that it affects us in, a myriad of ways through all parts of our lives. And I just think it's essential that we get a handle on cryptocurrency and crypto technologies. And there are so many derivative things that are built off of these things that are going to be essential for future companies. And it's just so important as being like the home of crypto and AI, and our ability to meaningfully engage with these things and to create an environment where consumers are able to engage with these things, and to facilitate, consumer engagement with these different technology. And it's just like, what are you saying? There's nothing. You're not saying anything. Can you not hear that? Can you not hear that nothing is being said? There's nothing of substance that's being said here. Nothing is being said. Do you understand what I'm saying? There's nothing that's being said here of anything.
I think that's just the direction we just got to keep going in.
Now let's talk stablecoins. There's this bill trying to make its way through the Senate.
Is it not clocking to you that he's not standing on business?
What's your take on the concerns, certainly on the Democrat side of the aisle, that there aren't enough safeguards here to keep maybe the president himself and his family from benefiting from this kind of legislation?
Well, so first of all, we have significant bipartisan support for this. I think 15 Democrats voted for the bill to pass this key procedural threshold of cloture, which means there'll be no filibuster against the bill. We have every expectation now that it's going to pass. And I think the reason it's going to pass is because stablecoins offer a new, more efficient, cheaper, smoother payment system, new payment rails for the U.S. economy. It also extends the dominance of the dollar online, and it also creates billions of dollars or trillions of dollars of demand for our treasury. So I think for all these reasons, the stablecoin bill is going to pass, and it's going to pass with significant bipartisan support.
How long?
Oh, I'm sorry, Jesus, God, I feel like I'm getting amnesia. I thought that the guy asked, how are we going to be sure that like the president doesn't take advantage of any of the cryptocurrency or use it to personally register? I thought that's what he said, but I must have completely misheard what he said.
Senate, what's your take on the concerns, certainly on the Democrat side of the aisle, that there aren't enough safeguards here to keep maybe the president himself and his family from benefiting from this kind of legislation?
Oh, that is what he said. So what was the answer? How is this going to prevent the president, who already is running two of the largest crypto scams in the world, how is it going to prevent him from taking advantage of this system to enrich himself?
Well, so first of all, we have significant bipartisan support for this. I think 15.
Okay, bipartisan support is one way. Okay.
Democrats.
Significant bipartisan support, 15, by the way. Okay.
Voted for the bill to pass this key procedural threshold of cloture, which means there'll be no filibuster against the bill. We have every expectation now that it's going to pass.
Okay, it's going to pass. So they have bipartisan support, and it's going to pass. Okay.
And I think the reason it's going to pass is because stablecoins offer a new, more efficient, cheaper, smoother payment system.
New, more efficient, cheaper, smoother payment system. Okay.
New payment rails for the U.S. economy. It also extends the dominance of the dollar.
And the dollar will be more dominant. Okay.
Online, and it also creates billions of dollars or trillions of dollars of demand for our treasury. So.
Okay, and more money for the treasury, but not inflationary money, the better kind of money, I guess.
I think for all these reasons, the stablecoin bill is going to pass, and it's going to pass with significant bipartisan support.
Okay, thank you. Okay, thankfully the interviewer holds his feet to the fire, and he recenters and asks the same question again, because this literal ballsack didn't address a single fucking thing that we said. But okay.
How long do you think before stablecoin would start to really have that dollar support effect you're talking about?
Oh, just kidding. My bad.
I mean, I think it'll be immediate. So we already have over $200 billion in stablecoins. It's just unregulated. And I think that if we provide the legal clarity and legal framework for this, I think we could create trillions of dollars of demand for our treasuries practically overnight, very quickly.
I understand that you have argued that it was important in this trip through the Middle East just now, making some of the deals, particularly around AI that the administration did, to get in there versus China, Belt and Road style, doing it as well. What do you say to the criticism?
It is really difficult. It's this common complaint that I hear from the Japanese and the Canadians who are like, I don't know how to, buy treasury bonds. It's just very fucking difficult to figure out the process online. Sometimes you've got to like make an account. There's a bunch of weird symbols, like the S with the slashes through it. Is it one slash? Is it two slash? Right? What is dollars? Is it that or is it that? There's a lot of weird abbreviations. And thank God we're going to have the stablecoin cryptocurrency system to smooth out that process. Thank you. Thank you, God. Thank you, God.
And that there's some moral ambiguity around the dealings with the likes of Saudi Arabia, given some of the headlines we've had about that regime's actions over the last few years.
Oh, moral ambiguity about dealing with Saudi Arabia. Oh, how is he going to answer this?
Well, I don't buy it. I mean, here's the thing.
Oh, not true. Based.
These countries are extremely resource rich, they're energy rich, and they have the largest sovereign wealth funds in the world. If we don't partner with them, they're going to be forced into China's arms, and they want to partner with us. They want to build they're on the American tech stack. They don't want to be building on the Chinese tech stack. So I think it's in our interest to partner with
Not the American versus the Chinese tech stack. Oh, no.
these countries and to have them be the piggy bank for our AI efforts, not China's.
So back to the AI question. What kind of scale do you think is necessary for AI to be successful policy-wise in the U.S.? And is your sense that...
Wait, was this supposed to be about AI or crypto? Or is every digital thing just the fucking same? Are they all just the same fucking thing? Is that...
The administration is thinking about that as they're addressing big tech in ways that they don't want Europe to necessarily hit us, but it's unclear how much M&A and how much size is going to be allowed here.
Well, I think we want to win the AI race. That's the bottom line, John. And I think we're going to do what's necessary in terms of building, in terms of creating more power, in terms of supporting innovation. I think we're going to do all those things. America has to win the AI race. If we don't, it'll be very bad for our economy.
Okay, cool. So power, as we are tariffing and cutting ourselves off from resources in the rest of the world. That's not completely fair, though, because like the biggest people that we get energy from isn't the rest of the world, is Canada. Oh, we're cutting ourselves off from them too. Okay. And then things like innovation as we slash scientific research all over the fucking country. And then like having the best and brightest as we murder our fucking colleges. We make it harder to immigrate here. And tourism has taken like a historic fucking nosedive because nobody wants to come to this shithole of a fucking country ran by these actual fucking demons.
It'll be very bad for our military. So I think we're going to do what's necessary to win this race.
What a great interview. God, I hate that fucking guy. Him and Chamath or whatever. How will it boost dollar demand? Okay, I just want to hear the explanation of this.
I think the immediate question is the immediacy of how quickly the bill passes to the president's desk and how you see that happening.
Well, thanks, Ed. Glad to be here. So the next step here is for the House to take it up, and I think the House is considering its options, but I think we're basically at the finish line here. The House already passed a similar version of the bill called the Stables Act, and I think that we're very close here to having a bill that can go to the president's desk.
There is also a lot of parallel interest from our audience in particular in the market structure efforts that are underway. Do you believe or see the president considering packaging them together, the stablecoin legislation with market structure?
Well, like I said, I think the House is still considering its options. The issue with packaging them together is that the market structure bill has never been taken up by the Senate. It did pass the House in the last Congress, but it never passed the Senate or was even taken up by the Senate. And so you could say that the market structure bill is on the 10-yard line, whereas the market structure bill is really, just a few yards away from becoming law. So I think there are different stages of the process, and if they were packaged together, it would slow down the stablecoin bill. But those decisions still have to be made.
Let's just talk about what this could unleash if it does go forward. Stablecoins could swell to as high as $3.7 trillion by 2030. That's according to Citi. But are we seeing perhaps a delay in regulation elsewhere that could stymie that sort of growth? Citi saying, look, if we don't see others getting on the bandwagon here, it could be limited to just $500 billion.
No, I mean, I think that the stablecoin bill is very helpful. It provides regulatory clarity and stability for the stablecoin industry. Like you were saying, there's already something like $250 billion in float of stablecoins.
What is the, when you talk about like the USDT or whatever, what blockchain is that on? Is that on Ethereum? What is the transfer cost if I'm sending like 1,000, is it USDT? If I'm sending 1,000 of that to somebody, what is the processing cost for that? Or how much do you pay? What's the fee for that?
And that's without there being a true regulatory framework in the United States. Right now, the number one issuer of stablecoins is offshore. And what this bill would do is provide, like I said, the regulatory clarity and safety. It would bring the whole stablecoin industry onshore. It would enhance consumer protection. The issuer.
What does he mean when he says it would bring it onshore? I thought this was digital. Can it be anywhere on the internet? What is that? I don't know what that means. Am I retarded? We want the bitcoins in America, not in the other places. Isn't it all like public ledgers that every other computer system is verified? Does he mean most of the processing power for it here? Can somebody explain to me what that means? I'm too retarded. I don't understand it. I need this guy to explain this to me, please.
Issuers of stablecoins would have to get audited on a quarterly basis. Consumers could be confident that their dollar-based stablecoins were reserved on a one-to-one basis with actual dollars in U.S. bank accounts, and I think this would increase confidence in.
We're finally getting off the fiat system, and we're moving to an actual. I love how the same people, these same fucking cocksuckers that are always talking about how horrible USD is, how horrible fiat currency is because it's not backed by gold, are now championing an actual digital currency that's backed by fiat currency. It's backed by USD. How do you know your USDT is good? How do I know it's good? Because it's backed by USD. I thought that was garbage. It's
on a one-to-one basis with actual dollars and U.S. bank accounts. And I think this would increase confidence in the industry. And I think that you would also see banks getting into the act. I think you'd see traditional financial players getting involved in it. And that's why the float is expected to grow from, call it, roughly $250 billion to trillions of dollars. And that would create more demand for the U.S. dollar internationally. I think you could see other economies start to dollarize from the bottom up as their citizens would prefer to use U.S. digital dollars as opposed to trillions of dollars. And that would create more demand for the U.S. dollar internationally. I think you could see other economies start to dollarize from the bottom up as their citizens would prefer to use U.S. digital dollars as opposed to whatever fiat currency they're using.
Is he envisioning like countries just completely and totally abandoning their currency? I don't even think you could do that legally in other countries, unless he's just assuming that the governments wouldn't crack down on it or wouldn't be able to care, because you wouldn't be able to pay any taxes, you wouldn't be able to buy or license or get any services from the government. You would, all of a sudden, you just have a business that shows zero revenue, zero expenses, and it's like, oh well, I guess they're cool. I don't know.
And that would create potentially trillions of dollars of new demand for U.S. Treasury. So I think this bill is a major piece of legislation. I think it's a fantastic bill just on its own. I think that the House should go ahead and take it up. And I think
also, wait, how the fuck do they even buy these? How would they even get USDT? Somebody would have to be accepting their bogus currency that's now fucking worthless, because why the fuck would you accept, like the people in that country don't even use that currency. Why the fuck would I sell you USD in that currency? I don't know, man. I would love to hear a breakdown of how this would work.
I think they will take it up, and I think they're going to put it on the president's desk very soon.
What about businesses taking it up? As you say, people waiting in the wings, reports Amazon, Walmart wanting to have their own stablecoin issuance. What is the regulatory oversight going to be like? You say, of course, it's put in stone in terms of the law. What about the resources for the regulation? Because there's going to be a lot to analyze, it feels like.
Well, you see, it's regulated by the blockchain. It regulates itself. That's the beautiful thing about it.
Yeah, so stablecoins will be under the purview of the banking system, and banking regulators will look at that. And
they'll just do it. Banking regulators will just look at it. It'll be part of the banking system. Okay.
Coin issuers will have to go through a regulatory process, and they'll get approved. And like I said, there'll be quarterly audits. And I think that
I like how he just doesn't answer the question at all. Like, won't you need different or newer resources or like some other different thing to regulate these? He's like, no, all the normal stuff will just do what the normal stuff does. Okay.
The bill will provide the framework that will give confidence to a lot of traditional financial players to enter the space. And so I think you're going to see new stablecoin products. And I think you'll also see stablecoins being used as payments. I think this is one of the really exciting things about the bill is that blockchain infrastructure will be used as a new kind of dollar-based payment system.
Yes.
That's faster, it's more efficient, smoother. It's a payment system of the future. It's kind of ironic that when the crypto industry really started with Bitcoin about 15 years ago, what was anticipated is that you would get a new kind of currency. You would get a non-fiat currency. But as it turns out, a really important use case of blockchains has been to support digital dollars, to support tokenized.
Yes. Another question is, let's assume that people adopt blockchains, because right now I think that it is true that it's probably cheaper to transfer on a blockchain, but I wonder how much of that is due to the fact that there are less people utilizing it than traditional payment methods. If you were to, because Bitcoin I think became incredibly expensive to start to transfer on. So what if it was the case that all of these people started to switch over to blockchain transfers for money? Would it not become more expensive? And
dollars. And I think you'll see the extension of that payment system online with that legislation. And that's a really exciting thing. We don't want this innovation being driven offshore. Right now, like I said, the leading stablecoin issuer is offshore. I think that you will see this be a new US-based payment system that emerges online.
David, I'm looking at, for example, shares of Coinbase and Circle and basically the market cheering the passage of the bill. You're basically talking about dollarization. And I wondered if you just reflect for a minute of how you feel that the final sort of composition of this legislation supports the goals, the bigger picture goals that you and the president had hoped for when you set out to do it.
Sure. So when the president first took office, and even before he took office, when he was on the campaign trail, he promised to make the United States the crypto capital of the planet, and to replace the approach of the Biden administration, which was essentially regulation through prosecution. I mean, the Biden administration was doing everything.
Also, can I just say, I love how all these crypto fucking losers just totally gave up on ever creating like real stable cryptocurrencies, and now they're just like, listen, we are going to create a stable cryptocurrency. How are you going to ensure the value of the currency is stable? Well, we're just going to go ahead and peg it on the USD. Oh, okay. You figured it out. That's how you make a stable digital currency, by just artificially pegging the value on one USD. Oh, fuck. How didn't we realize it? Nice.
it could to drive crypto companies offshore. And he promised to change that approach and provide regulatory clarity so that the innovation could happen in the United States. And I think that the Trump administration has done that. Even before this bill, the president had signed an executive order to make Bitcoin a strategic reserve asset, providing, I think, a kind of legitimacy for the industry that it had been seeking. We also have formed a president's working group on digital assets that's been systematically hunting down and eliminating some of these war on crypto regulations that have been impeding the industry. The bottom line here is that we just want a fair approach.
Why not give an example of anything? I don't know.
What founders and entrepreneurs have been asking for is just tell us what the rules are and we'll abide by those rules. So we've been trying to provide that regulatory clarity. But at the end of the day, if you want to make sure that the rules stay stable for founders, you need to enshrine them in law. And it's great when you can get the various agencies and departments of the government to change their rules, to take up better rulemaking. And we've done that. But again, the way that you provide long-term protection against the return of a new Gary Gensler or something like that is you enshrine them into law. And that's what this bill, the Genius Act, would do. And it's also what the market structure legislation would do. And we want to take that up next, to be short.
Sorry to interrupt you. What is missing from the bill and what Democrats push for was specific controls on the president and president's family in their ability to move within the corners of the crypto market with which they're affiliated. There's a lot of concern that wasn't done. Is the concern justified?
Oh, hold on. So many YouTube shows they donated and I ignored them. There's a country in Africa that uses prepaid phone minutes as their de facto currency. Cool.
I don't think so. I mean, so first of all, you should ask them what they're doing because I'm not involved in any particular company's products. I'm just an innovation advisor. But my understanding is that what they've said is the president's assets are in a blind trust. His sons are not in the government. They're adults and they're allowed to engage in business. And they have a company. And I think that these are unrelated things.
You're an innovation expert, not just in crypto, but in AI too. We shift there a little bit because...
An expert, yes. An expert. Tell us, expert, please.
You've hunted down rules that perhaps weren't serving some in the business entrepreneurship in the US, for example, the diffusion rule. But what follows it, David?
Well, I think it's a good question about what comes next. I think the problem with the diffusion rule, this was the Biden diffusion rule that was dropped at the 11th hour by the Biden administration, something like 5 days before the end of their term. I don't think it was really thought through. It was overly burdensome. And what it did is it required every sale of a GPU worldwide to, it required a license from the Commerce Department, or one of several narrow exemptions that also had to be lawyered. And so this was just incredibly burdensome. I think it impeded the global, the U.S. semiconductor business and the U.S. data center business. I think it hampered its market share worldwide, which should be an important objective of U.S. policy.
Let's see, give an example. That's good.
Is for the U.S. to win the AI race by becoming the dominant tech stack internationally. So the diffusion rule, I think, would have shot our technology industry in the foot out of a concern to prevent chips from going to China. To be sure, I think that the leading American semiconductor should not go to China, but we have export controls on that. And I don't think we need a new global licensing regime on every single GPU transaction to achieve that objective.
David, Jensen Huang was on the show very recently, and he expressed his concern that Huawei has technology that is as performant as NVIDIA's H200. There had been a lot of focus on H20. I know that the Commerce Department has issued some assessment of how much Huawei can produce. I think they said 200,000 GPU capacity. But there are concerns that actually their ability to export to markets outside of America is much greater than that. What is your assessment of how China can compete with its own GPUs in markets?
Destiny, money just represents value. Currently, USD is backed by the US, and you're willing to accept it for value like work. If people come to accept it, then it is no worse than any other currency. I'm not defending the many issues, just that you're implying it can't somehow replace the USD. No. In the United States of America, USD can be anything because it's the United States dollar, because you can pay your taxes in it. You can pay for services from the federal government in it. If the government is not willing to accept another currency to pay taxes or whatever, then you run into a problem where well, at least in the United States, I shouldn't say in a lot of other countries. In the US, you can't have competing currencies. It's like literally, it's like illegal to create a competing currency. I don't know how the Bitcoin people or crypto coins get around it. Maybe that's part of what the new legislative framework is. But in other countries, like if I was accepting all of my transactions in USD, I would have to make that equivalent to whatever that government's currency was, and then I would have to pay, I would imagine, most countries have taxes, you'd have to pay your taxes to that government in the actual government's currency, and there's no way that you could escape being tethered to your government's currency to some extent.
Markets outside of America.
Well, it is true that today China is supply constrained on how many GPUs they can produce, but I would expect that to change pretty rapidly because China has proven adept at working around our restrictions. And you saw that back in January, we had this DeepSeek moment where before DeepSeek, people thought that Chinese AI models were years behind. And then DeepSeek launched, we realized that maybe they're more like 3 to 6 months behind. I think today, China is maybe 1.5 to 2 years behind us in chip design, but Huawei is moving fast to catch up. And even before they fully caught up, I think you will see them exporting their chips for the global market. For example, there was a story out of Malaysia that they were creating a sovereign data center with Huawei SN chips, and that story got walked back because I think the government was afraid of the U.S. reaction. But it was a minister of the government who did announce that they were creating a sovereign data center using Huawei chips.
Jesus, Leon's Law. Man, I got to bail both my parents out of jail. I hope everyone else is having a good day. Both of them. based.
Was afraid of the U.S. reaction, but it was a minister of the government who did announce that they were creating a sovereign data center using Huawei chips. So I think that we do have to be concerned about Huawei competing on the global market.
Corporations paying fair taxes? What planet are you living on? Oh, fucking true, bro. Fucking true. All the large corporations, wealthy people all cheat on the taxes. Oh, fucking true, bro. That's such a truth bomb. Oh my god, bro.
They may not fully be there yet, but I would expect that to change in the future. And I think that if we're overly restrictive in terms of U.S. sales to the world, I think there'll be a time where we're kind of kicking ourselves saying, when we're in all of a sudden Huawei is everywhere, we'll be saying, well, wait, when we had this whole market to ourselves, why didn't we take advantage of that opportunity and lock in the American tech stack? I think it's very important that when we think about our goals here with respect to AI, we want the American tech stack to win. We want it to become the global standard. We want to have the largest market share we can. We want all to be the partner of choice for the world. And I think it's a valid policy objective to prevent our leading edge semiconductors from going to China. But at the same time, we don't want to restrict them from going to our friends and allies. To be sure, we should name our security requirements, but our friends and allies are eager to comply with those security requirements. So I think we can achieve our objective here, our dual objective of preventing leading chips from going to China while also making the United States a global standard.
Americans will finally learn the truth about how in 2016 intelligence was politicized and weaponized by the most powerful people in the Obama administration to lay the groundwork for what was essentially a years-long coup against President at real Donald Trump, subverting the will of the American people and undermining our democratic republic. Here's how. The creation of the Russia hoax. Real intel assessment. Russia and criminal actors did not impact recent U.S. election results by conducting cyber attacks on infrastructure. That is a very specific statement, and most people agree with that. They did not commandeer or take over individual machines and change vote counts. Yes. Donald Trump wins 2016 election. Secret Russia meeting. Obama officials meet to plan the Russia hoax. Deep state leaks. Obama officials use their media propaganda arm to spread fake news. Fake weaponized assessment. Suppressed prior intelligence showing Russia lacked intent and capability to hack the 2016 election. Russia hoax. August 31st, DHS official to DNI Clapper. We are working with the CIA on a PDB submission on the threat. The thrust of the analysis is that there is no indication of a Russian threat to directly manipulate the actual vote count through cyber means. However, as seen in recent media reporting, any cyber activity directed against the election is likely to have an effect on public confidence, even if the cyber operation is unsuccessful or not intended to impact the election. September 9th, lead author of the PDB. I took the intent of the email to get the basic starting point regarding Russia. We agree with Russia probably is not and will not trying to influence the election by using cyber means to manipulate computer-enabled election infrastructure. Activity on and since Election Day. We assessed that foreign adversaries did not use cyber attacks and election infrastructure to alter the U.S. presidential election outcome this year. We have no evidence of cyber manipulation of election infrastructure intended to alter the results. There was, however, minimal targeting of election infrastructure, probably by cyber criminals to steal data, although these efforts did not disrupt the election. Polled President's Daily Brief. What is the point of this? Fake news gets the talking points. Though Russia has long conducted cyber spying on U.S. agencies, companies, and organizations, this presidential campaign marks the first time Russia has attempted through cyber means to interfere in, if not actively influence, the outcome of an election, the officials said. The CIA has concluded in a secret assessment that Russia intervened in the 2016 election to help Donald Trump win the presidency rather than just to undermine confidence in the U.S. electoral system, according to officials briefed on the matter. U.S. intelligence officials now believe with a high level of confidence that Russian President Vladimir Putin became personally involved in the covert Russian campaign to interfere in the U.S. presidential election. This is all true, but it wasn't by changing vote counts on machines. Like, all of these prior things are about against election infrastructure, right? Actual vote count through cyber means. Manipulate computer-enabled election infrastructure. We have no evidence of cyber manipulation on election infrastructure intended to alter the results. The disproven Steele dossier. good one. The fuck? Don't care.
This is the Will Cain Show, and we begin with a breaking news alert. Fox News Digital exclusively reporting that the Obama administration manufactured and politicized intelligence to create a narrative that the Kremlin was trying to influence the 2016 president.
This is also why I hate you fucking retards in my chat. Nobody talks about lab leak anymore. Nobody talks about this. These motherfuckers will talk about every fucking thing till the end of fucking time if they feel like they can use it to further their whatever. Why are we still even talking about this? 2016. This is 10 years old.
Election. This is the origins of Russia. Director of National Intelligence Tulsi Gabbard has just declassified today these documents, laying out this timeline. Prior to 2016 and the election, officials from across the intelligence community assessed Russia lacked the intent and capability to hack U.S. elections. After President Trump's 2016 victory, early intel assessments proved that there was no foreign manipulation. Now, officials tell Fox that intelligence was then manufactured and politicized to be used as the basis for the year-long Mueller probe. The documents state, quote, hours before the December 8th, 2016 PDB was due to be published, a senior intelligence official abruptly pulled it from the president's briefing book. It was private property in Zohran Mamdani.
Said they need to be held accountable. This is not how our election should be decided. This is not how our government should be run. Those who have the highest levels of power and intelligence access need to be held accountable if they abuse it. And that's what it appears like happened here.
All right, really quickly here, Congressman, you're a New York congressman. Is it possible the city of New York is going to elect a guy, a mayor, who has said he looks to abolish private property in Zohran Mamdani?
Sadly, so long as there are multiple candidates in the race, it looks very likely that he will be the next mayor of New York City. You need a one-on-one race. And the fact is, what he is talking about is Marxist. It is communist. He wants to seize property. He wants to seize the means of production. He wants to ban capitalism and billionaires. He wants to tax people based on their race and whether or not they live in a white neighborhood. This is absolute insanity. It will lead to the mass exodus of New York. New York City is the financial capital of the world. It will not only be destructive to New York, it'll be destructive to America. He must be defeated at the ballot box in November. And that requires everybody putting their egos aside and recognizing whoever has the best pathway, everybody's got to get behind that person.
All right, Congressman Lawler, thank you so much.
Also breaking tonight, a potential blockbuster scandal from documents released by the Director of National
Blockbuster scandal, as stuff is republished that we've all known for a decade. Literally nothing new has been published about this that I'm aware of.
Intelligence today. Fox News Digital reporting the Obama administration allegedly manufactured and politicized intelligence to create the narrative that Russia was attempting to influence the 2016 presidential election. This reportedly happened despite intelligence stating otherwise. Chief Washington correspondent Mike Emanuel has some stunning details tonight. Looking into it. This released today. Good evening, Mike.
Good evening to you. DNI Tulsi Gabbard declassified documents today from before and after the 2016 election, promising they would show the American people how intelligence was politicized and weaponized by some key figures in the Obama administration. She talks about it in an interview airing on Hannity this evening.
You have some of the most powerful people in our country directly leading at the helm, President Obama and his senior-most national security cabinet, essentially making a very intentional decision to create this manufactured, politicized piece of intelligence.
According to the documents, August 31st, 2016, a Homeland Security official tells then DNI James Clapper that there was, quote, no indication of a Russian threat to directly manipulate the actual vote count. On September 9th, 2016, officials argue the presidential daily brief should make clear that Russia, quote, probably is not trying to influence the election by using cyber means to target election infrastructure. Then after the election, the tone appears to change. On December 9th, 2016, the documents reveal the Obama White House held a National Security Council Principals Committee meeting on a sensitive topic. It included then DNI James Clapper, John Brennan, the CIA director, Susan Rice, who was National Security Advisor, Andrew McCabe from the FBI, and others. After that, an email came out to Intelligence Committee leaders from an aide to Clapper saying the intelligence community was prepared to produce an assessment per President Obama's request to pull together the information intelligence agencies had about the tools Moscow used and the actions it took to influence the 2016 election.
Those are not the same thing. Do they not realize? Like, their audience has been so mindfucked that they're not even editing the quotes correctly. Like, the initial stuff was that they do not have either the capability or they don't have the interest in directly manipulating vote counts. That's a difference in just being influential in an election, trying to influence elections through other means. These are different things.
By December 14th, there were leaks saying that intelligence community officials believe, quote, with a high level of confidence, that Russian President Vladimir Putin was personally involved in the U.S. election hack.
I don't know what that's referring to, the U.S. election hack, but
then
I don't know where the full quote is from.
On January 6, 2017, 2 weeks before the first Trump inauguration, a new intelligence community in the U.S. election hack. Then on January 6, 20 level of confidence.
December 14th, this is after the fucking election. What What are they even trying to do at this point? Trump's already won. What's the
Russian President
plot?
Vladimir Putin was personally involved in the U.S. election hack. Then, on January 6, 2017, 2 weeks before the first Trump inauguration, a new intelligence community assessment was released that, according to the Office of DNI, quote, directly contradicted the intelligence community assessments made throughout the previous 6 months. Former President Obama's office declined to comment. Right?
Okay, we'll follow it. Mike, thank you.
Fox News Alert, we just got a peek inside Obama's black book, and it turns out Barack knew the Russia hoax was a hoax all along, but pushed it anyway to sabotage the Trump presidency. DNI Tulsi Gabbard declassifying pages and pages of documents, showing Obama's intel guys briefed him just weeks after the 2016 election that the Russians didn't actually sway the election. Quote.
Look at the tricky word. They didn't sway the election. Now we've gone from didn't directly commandeer election systems to artificially switch vote counts. They didn't do that. Now we've gone to they didn't even try to sway the election, right?
We assessed that Russian and criminal actors did not impact the recent U.S. election results. Criminal activity also failed to reach the scale and sophistication.
Look at how he's only reading. See, we assessed that Russian and criminal actors did not impact recent U.S. election. Hold on.
Guys briefed them
how this
just weeks
graphic.
after the 2016 election that the Russians didn't actually sway the election. Quote.
Okay, you can't see it, but you see the end of the sentence was something against election infrastructure, switching vote counts.
We assessed that Russian and criminal actors did not impact the recent U.S. election results. Criminal activity also failed to reach the scale and sophistication necessary to change election outcomes.
Election outcomes, like vote counts, like vote totals. But they know this. I don't know.
But Obama just couldn't accept that. So he and his staff instructed intel agencies to cook up new reports to support Russia collusion. Quote, after the meetings, Clapper's executive assistant emailed intelligence community leaders, tasking them to create a new intelligence community assessment per the president's request that detailed the tools Moscow used and actions it took to influence the 2016 election.
By the way, if you're curious why they're acting like this, if you talk to any conservative, they do not believe that the Podesta email hack, they don't believe that that was done by Russia. They don't believe that Roger Stone communicated with the Russian hacker. And they believe that when Assange was leaking stuff, he was doing it because he loves freedom and democracy, not because he fucking hates the United States, which he does. The reason why all of this is so confusing to them is because most people listening think that that hack was just by a random hacker on the internet and then it just got leaked randomly and there was no political timing to any of it, no coordination with Trump's staff, which there was when it came to leaking that stuff. That's why they're saying this all the same, right? Because these statements are not contradictory, right? Moscow used tools to influence the 2016 election. We know that. The whole Mueller investigation proved this. Unless you think literally every part of it was fake. You can just read the indictments. But they're pretending like this is the same statement as they switched the vote totals in machines.
Tulsi Gabbard described what she found as a...
Somebody said, Destiny, that hack reference was about the DNC hack. Maybe it was. Okay, that would make sense.
...conspiracy to subvert the will of the American people. And she says the people involved should be prosecuted and has made a criminal referral to the Department of Justice. We knew Hillary created the dossier, and now we have proof that Barack was calling the shots and the documents to prove it. Let's bring in founder of Public News.
Hillary herself personally went out and created the dossier.
Michael Schellenberger. All right, Mike.
Schellenberger, this disgusting subhuman fucking dick suck who's out here playing games. It is a total fucking stooge puppet for the administration. I can't believe Schellenberger and Taibbi ever had a positive reputation. The only saving grace from these two, the only little bit of positivity that I get was watching Taibbi having his shit roasted on Twitter because him and Elon Musk got into a little lover's quarrel. God, I hate these fucking losers.
How big is this?
Hey, Jessica. Yeah, tell us, Schellenberger, how big this is. It's a huge leak, Mr. Twitter Files. Please tell us how important and big this is. Oh, my God.
Public News, Michael Schellenberger. All right, Mike, how big is this?
Hey, Jesse, great to be with you. First of all, it's very big news. It's great to see this coming from the ODNI, from Tulsi Gabbard. She's already released a huge amount of documents that people are aware of around JFK. This is a huge tranche of documents that they've declassified and released to the public. And what they showed, Jesse, is exactly what you said, that they knew early on that there was no hacking of election machines. That was very clear to them. And so they had to, but they wanted to keep using the word hacking, almost certainly to be misleading, to mislead the public. I mean, I myself remember hearing about hacking of the elections, and I thought they were talking about the voting machines. They were just using that metaphorically, but they got the Washington Post and other mainstream news media outlets to talk about that, I think, in that way. And what they were really referring to was the release of Hillary Clinton's emails, totally unrelated to what was happening on election day. They were just talking about,
Listen to him lie like that. Do you think that they have like an actual, I wonder if they have like the anal probes, like what they say, the Neiman guy, was that his name, the chess player, to like transfer all of the signals instead of Neuralink, it's like fucking anal link. And that's how they get all of the new talking points or whatever.
What was in Clinton and Podesta's emails didn't have anything to do with hacking election machines. Just I think the bottom line is this is another instance where you see the Democrats having projected what they were doing onto Donald Trump. The Obama administration was undermining public confidence in the elections, deliberately undermining confidence in the elections, and then accusing the Trump campaign of doing the very same thing.
Do you believe that the alleged FBI investigation into Comey and into Brennan is also related to these documents? And could there be more people under investigation?
Yeah, well, I mean, there is still so much more to be released. I mean, you may remember that we had reported that it was really earlier in 2016 that Obama's CIA director got foreign assets to basically bump into, to get information to and out of pretty junior Trump campaign staffers in order to then create a predicate for the FBI to open its investigation, which, you know, if you can follow the steeplechase here, was basically all aimed at leaking information to the news media to create a perception that Trump was somehow compromised by the Russians. And that's just what keeps coming up and over and again. They knew that they didn't have the actual intel or any evidence.
And just like that, the Epstein story was forgotten by leaking totally brand new stuff that is not brand new at all. I haven't heard a single piece of new information yet. Maybe it's in some other document I haven't read yet. Maybe she published more or whatever. But all of this, maybe these emails are new, but they're not even saying anything novel. Like, we've known all of this basically. Not basically. I haven't seen a single new surprising thing yet.
To actually bring any charges against Trump, because of course he didn't do any of the things they were accusing him of, but they were constantly leaking to the news media, and that was one of the things that we saw revealed today in these new documents, is that they were using the intelligence community essentially as a public relations arm.
Oh, you mean like when you guys would do your investigation into Hunter Biden and Joe Biden and Hillary Clinton and Benghazi and the emails and everything else, you know, every single fucking day of your existence, to leak everything to the media constantly, the drip, drip, drip of all of your bullshit investigations that turned out. I'm trying to think how many people were charged with the Hillary email thing and the Benghazi thing. And did they ever get Joe Biden on the criminal family conspiracy? Well, at least they charged Hunter Biden for doing drugs and having a gun.
Yes, now we know when Trump said, I used to be the hunted, but now I'm the hunter, what he was talking about. Mike Schellenberger, great to see you. Great analysis. Thanks so much. So on his very first day in office, President Trump signed an executive order announcing that the federal government would, quote, take appropriate action to correct past misconduct related to the weaponization of law enforcement and the weaponization of our intel community. No person alive today knows what it's like to have the full force of the federal government turned against you better than Donald Trump. Well, he does not want any other Americans to have to go through what he went through, because President Trump, frankly, has been to hell and back. And it all started at the beginning of his first term with the totally phony Russia hoax. We spent 3 years unpeeling every layer of that onion on this program with John Solomon and Greg Jarrett and Sarah Carter and others. Today, we're learning another shocking detail about the early days of that sham investigation. We have a newly declassified report prepared for President Barack Obama back in December of 2016, right after Donald Trump won, specifically stating, quote, Russian criminal activity failed to reach the scale and sophistication necessary to change election outcomes. And they were talking about one place in Chicago. Now, the deep state did not like the assessment. That was put together by career people, rank and file people. But when the politicized people around Obama got it, guess what? It changed. They never let Obama see it. Then when he asked them to prove that Russia meddled in the election, they just simply complied and they turned it on its head. And frankly, in many ways, you can say they polluted what was real intelligence and they turned it into poison. And they did it to destroy one man. Is it any wonder that there are now reportedly criminal investigations, this conspiracy investigation by Kash Patel underway, and it specifically names Comey and Brennan. All right, here to give us all the details and bring us up to speed with reaction to the Director of National Intelligence, Tulsi Gabbard.
Remember what I said, right? The verticality of all of this? Like, how integrated is your media? You've got, I guess he's mainstream now, right? You've got one mainstream Fox News host. We've got alternative media platform X, where the director of National Intelligence is posting things. We've got... Who is this guy? Is this guy like a congressman? Is he a congressman from New York? So we've got like lawmakers. And then we've got Schellenberger, alternative media guy. And then now we have we have another mainstream media, big Fox News host. And then now we have our current Director of National Intelligence on loan from the Trump administration to come on and talk to us about this. Like, it's so much vertical integration on the propaganda. It's insane.
Investigations, this conspiracy investigation by Kash Patel underway, and it specifically names Comey and Brennan. All right, here to give us all the details and bring us up to speed with reaction to the Director of National Intelligence, Tulsi Gabbard. She declassified this report yesterday, has many more details. You know, I have this creation of the Russia hoax that you put out on X, that you posted on X, and I'll put it up as you're speaking here. What is amazing to me as I've gone through this cache of documents we've released is they concluded just the opposite. They concluded there was no problem. And then all of it, that was the rank and file. These were career people in the intel community. They gave honest assessments. Then all of a sudden it ends up in the hands of the leadership, the deep state as we call them. And what happened to it? Can you explain what the process and what these documents reveal?
Think about what he just said there. If you think for 2 seconds, what did he just say? The rank and file members gave good intelligence, but it was the elected Obama officials that changed, what they presented to the American people, or the deep state. That's exactly the opposite of what the deep state is. The deep state is not supposed to be the elected members. The deep state was supposed to be the rank and file. That's why when Trump got elected in term 1, Trump couldn't do anything because the deep state was constantly working against him. But now the deep state was Obama and his cabinet, and the rank and file members were good. But then as soon as Trump came in and then he put in his cabinet, now the rank and file were the deep state. Like, what is it? It doesn't make any sense.
In the hands of the leadership, the deep state, as we call them, and what happened to it? Can you explain what the process and what these documents reveal?
Yeah, thank you so much,
Sean, just think of the fucking words, right? What is the deep state? The leadership. That's not very deep at all. That seems like the surface state. That seems like the state. That's just your leaders. There's nothing deep at all about that. Sorry. Would you ever want to live in Dubai? No. Too hot, too humid.
As we call them, and what happened to it? Can you explain what the process and what these documents reveal?
Yeah, thank you so much, Sean. This is such an important issue, and I just want to start by saying that this is an issue that is important to every single one of us as Americans. This is not a partisan issue. It has to do with the integrity and the strength of our democratic republic, and it lays out this over 100 documents that you're referencing that I released, declassified and released, spells out in great detail exactly what happens when you have some of the most powerful people in our country directly leading at the helm, President Obama and his senior-most national security cabinet, James Comey, John Brennan, James Clapper, and Susan Rice and others, essentially making a very intentional decision to create this manufactured, politicized piece of intelligence with the objective of subverting the will of the American people, who in November of 2016 delivered a historic victory to President Trump, defeating Hillary Clinton. And President Obama and his team, their goal was to essentially not accept the decision of the American people and to use this manufactured, politicized intelligence as a means to enact what would become essentially a years-long coup against President Trump. You have gone into great detail over these years of what the effects of this document and this decision have resulted in. Obviously, a years-long Mueller investigation that cost taxpayers almost $40 million, 2 congressional impeachments.
Lie, by the way. The Mueller investigation made money because of assets seized from Manafort. This is how much the that might have been like the cost, but the total like net by the end, because they seized like This is in 2019. I don't know how much they got from Manafort at the end. I thought that they profited from it. Maybe it was, maybe it ended up netting zero at the end, but you know what cost way more than any of this bullshit? More than $0 was the Benghazi shit. It was the Hillary email shit. Total cost of Mueller investigation by the end. You know what? Fuck everything else. The thing we should read after all of this was, it should just be the Mueller report. That's what we should read. The Paul Manafort case alone, you recovered as much as $42 million. So the cost of your investigation of the taxpayers approaches zero. Was it $42 million? Paul Manafort. I don't have all this information on tap. This is 48 million. We will do the Mueller report next, okay? That's what we should do. That's what we will do. Paul Manafort, Trump's former campaign chairman, was sentenced for conspiracy and obstruction of justice in September. As part of his plea deal, Manafort agreed to forfeit assets that amount to between $42 million and $46 million, including about $22 million in property, CNBC reports. I'm pretty sure they either made money by the end of this or it netted to zero. So the idea that there was some huge waste of money, how much money do we spend on the Hunter Biden shit? How much money do we spend on Hillary's emails? How much money do we spend on the Joe Biden documents shit? Like,
Obviously, a years-long Mueller investigation that cost taxpayers almost $40 million, 2 congressional impeachments, endless smears and attacks against not only President Trump, but his family. He had senior members of his team who were investigated, some arrested and jailed. We had heightened and increased tensions between the United States and Russia. The list goes on and on about the consequences of President Obama and his senior cabinet members politicizing intelligence. Once again, and I say these words very clearly, to enact what was essentially a years-long coup, subverting the will of the American people in that election in November. Now, you referenced this president's daily brief document that was drafted for President Obama in early December that reaffirmed what the intelligence community professionals, as you say, had been assessing for the previous 6 months leading up to the election, which was that Russia neither had the intent nor capability to essentially hack the outcome of the U.S. election. As you said, President Obama's political appointees pulled that document before it could be published, and it has not been published until we released it today. And the very next day after, pulled to essentially hack the outcome for the previous 6 months leading up to the election, which was that Russia neither had the intent nor capability to essentially hack the outcome of the U.S. election. As you said, President Obama's political appointees pulled that document before.
I don't know what was pulled. We knew this. I don't remember who announced it, but it had been announced several times that there was no direct compromising of any of the election machines. We knew this. This is not a new thing that's being released. They're just re-releasing old shit and calling it new shit to get away from the young shit from the Epstein.
It could be published, and it has not been published until we released it today. And the very next day after they pulled that document, President Obama called a National Security Council cabinet meeting to discuss how Russia interfered with the election. Again, this is the first
This
week
is
of December.
December 9th,
President
right?
Trump had already won. Correct.
This is the December 9th meeting.
That's exactly right. The December 9th meeting, we declassified and released what they call the summary of conclusions from that meeting. Then DNI James Clapper took the lead on what President Obama wanted done, and which was essentially create a document that tells us not if, but how Russia interfered with the election. President Obama delivered the conclusion that he wanted the intelligence community.
They're two different things. I hate this.
To reach and directed them to find and essentially create and manufacture the intelligence to support the conclusion that President Obama wanted to deliver to the American people. Once that document was drafted.
True. Why didn't Trump release this information in his first term if this was such a bombshell? True!
Deep State kicked into gear and did what they usually do. They started leaking this classified information out to their friends at the Washington Post and others who are working hand in glove with the Deep State to lay the groundwork for the assessment that they eventually released that served as the basis, once again, for this years-long coup with the goal of trying to subvert the American people.
Years-long coup. What was the years-long coup? Who cooed who?
Trump from being able to deliver on the mandate that the American people gave to him when they chose to elect him as president of the United States.
So you had career intel people that came to a conclusion that, in fact, Russia did not interfere, that it had no impact, and they didn't like the assessment.
So this is just a distraction from the Epstein shit? Yep.
And they have this meeting with President Obama at the time, and they make the decision, a very conscious decision.
I think the most blackpilling thing is conservatives seeming to have no real beliefs. They pick them up and put them down as it's politically convenient. I just don't believe their words anymore. You shouldn't believe any of these people. They're fucking disgusting. The real life ones are disgusting. They're all disgusting. This is disgusting. It's insane shit. This is insane shit. And it's going to be so frustrating. Man, you think I'm mean now? Wait until the debates in 2028 pick up. And I have to listen to all of these fucking retards, these degenerate subhuman fucks talk about the things that they care about, truth and transparency and not wasting taxpayer dollars and the deficit and our debt and the importance of being respected around the world and no new wars and not getting involved in bad foreign policy and having good trade deals. Like they're going to pretend they care about all of that, not attacking the media and not weaponizing the legal system.
The assessment, and they have this meeting with President Obama at the time, and they make the decision, a very conscious decision.
Oh, sorry, I keep saying coup. What do you mean coup? I'm being like half. The reason why they're saying that is because they're so ass-pained over January 6th, where Trump did actually try to coup the government, I should say insurrection/rebellion against the government, not just a coup. It was more. It was violent. That's why they try to co-opt that word. That's why Stephen Miller is so much saying like these people are seditious conspiracy, because there were convictions for seditious conspiracy. Now they've all been pardoned, of course, over Jan 6. That's why they keep saying things like seditious conspiracy, or they say things like treasonous, or they say things like a coup or an insurrection related to the California protest stuff. They say it because they're just trying to take those words back so that when people think about them, they think about the Democrats doing it, not the Republicans doing it.
The assessment, and they have this meeting with President Obama at the time, and they make the decision, a very conscious decision, to pervert real intelligence, turn it into phony intelligence, but also simultaneously something else was happening. And James Comey, for example, was warned about the Russian disinformation dossier that was paid for by Hillary Clinton. He was warned not to trust it, but it became the bulk of information for not one but 4 separate FISA warrants, ruined Carter Page's life, but also backdoored an ability for them to spy on President Trump, candidate Trump, and transition team Trump. Nobody was ever held accountable for that either. Now, to me, it sounds like you have appointed, powerful bureaucrats that just flat out created a narrative that was false to undermine a duly elected president. Now, if that's not a grand conspiracy, I don't know what would be. Do you see crimes here?
I do, Sean, and I'm referring all of these documents that we have found and uncovered, referring them to the Department of Justice for further investigation. Accountability and action, not just investigation, but action. Accountability has to take place. The American people's ability to have faith and trust in the integrity of our democratic republic is literally what's at stake, and therefore the future of our ability to exist as the country that we know it. This accountability is critical to make sure that this never happens again. Exposing the truth and naming those who are responsible should drive that accountability that has to take place. I just want to mention quickly, Sean, you mentioned the Steele dossier. That plays a critical role in these documents that we released, specifically because James Clapper, James Comey, John Brennan, they all knew that the Steele dossier was discredited at this point. It's not something any intelligence professional looked to as something that could be referenced or should be referenced in any intelligence assessment whatsoever. I know that there were professionals who were told include the Steele dossier in this January Obama-directed manufactured piece of intelligence, and they